trying to figure out what leverage we actually have. What leverage do we have? They control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. It's their government. What leverage do we have? What leverage do we have? What leverage do we have?
No. There's something else, though. With respect to Amy Klobuchar, I actually don't think Democrats give a shit about Black people and care about those kind of pressure campaigns, because Black people specifically are always going to vote for Democrats. So the way that a Black woman asking for something from the Democratic Party means less than the dog crap on the bottom of my sneaker cannot be emphasized enough. Black women, there's no planet. If I were running for president, truly the last, apart from having my own values, the way that the last call that I would answer would have to be a Black woman's call, as long as they insist on voting hook, line, and sinker for Democrats no matter what. That's just the way leverage works. And No. There's something else, though. With respect to Amy Klobuchar, I actually don't think Democrats give a shit about Black people and care about those kind of pressure campaigns, because Black people specifically are always going to vote for Democrats. So the way that a Black woman asking for something from the Democratic Party means less than the dog crap on the bottom of my sneaker cannot be emphasized enough. Black women, there's no planet. If I were running for president, truly the last, apart from having my own values, the way that the last call that I would answer would have to be a Black woman's call, as long as they insist on voting hook, line, and sinker for Democrats no matter what. That's just the way leverage works. I'm done with life, and it's all Jermaine's fault. It's always Jermaine's fault. I'm done.
What's good, everybody? AB Media 83 here, and welcome to the Colosseum Special. Today, we're going to be talking about, well, how can I say this? Turns out, lefties admit AB Media 83, me, was right all along about the election and about all the bullshit that went on behind the scenes. Even more than it's actually worse than I thought. Yeah. Oh, I'm not fucking around, Chaos. You don't believe in Chaos? Oh, okay. Now hear it for yourself.
No. There's something else, though. With respect to Amy Klobuchar, I actually don't think Democrats give a shit about Black people and care about those kind of pressure campaigns, because Black people specifically are always going to vote for Democrats. So the way that a Black woman asking for something from the Democratic Party means less than the dog crap on the bottom of my sneaker cannot be emphasized enough. Black women, there's no planet. If I were running for president, truly the last, apart from having my own values, the way that the last call that I would answer would have to be a Black woman's call, as long as they insist on voting hook, line, and sinker for Democrats no matter what. That's just the way leverage works. And
oh, y'all thought I was playing, didn't you? Y'all really thought I was playing, didn't you? I've been saying that for years. Y'all thought I was playing, didn't you? Let's hear that again. Y'all thought I was playing.
No. There's something else, though. With respect to Amy Klobuchar, I actually don't think Democrats give a shit about Black people and care about those kind of pressure campaigns, because Black people specifically are always going to vote for Democrats. So the way that a Black woman asking for something from the Democratic Party means less than the dog crap on the bottom of my sneaker cannot be emphasized enough. Black women, Like there's no planet. If I were running for president, truly the last, apart from like having my own values, the way that the last call that I would answer would have to be a Black women's call, as long as they insist on voting hook, line, and sinker for Democrats, no matter what. That's just the way leverage works. And
oh, and there's more from where that came from. We're gonna watch that clip that came from. There's much more than that. That's just something I clipped out, along with this little number right here.
I'm trying to figure out what leverage we actually have. What leverage do we have? They control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. It's their government. What leverage do we have? What leverage do we have? What leverage do we have?
You ain't got no damn leverage with that weak ass sauce, with that weak sauce, motherfucker. And here's my thing. This is what you butthurt blues like Man of Tomorrow were cussing us out about. This is the butthurt blues you want to defend, Mike V? Really? These are the butthurt blues you want to defend? What can we do? Lordy B, what can we do? What could we do? Trump runs everything. I thought y'all was supposed to be strong. Oh, wait. I thought y'all was supposed to be strong. I thought y'all was strong. Y'all was gonna wipe the floor with Trump. Y'all was gonna wipe the floor with JD Vance. But yet and still, we get this weak ass sauce. Hold on, wait a minute. We still get this weak ass sauce.
I'm trying to figure out what leverage we actually have. What leverage do we have? They control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. It's their government. What leverage do we have? What leverage do we have? What leverage do we have?
That's the party that we're supposed to go kiss. We're supposed to go kiss their ass when they're acting that weak. That's whose ass you're kissing. Really, Mike V? Really, Nagone 11? Oh yeah, I'm calling names today. Really, Man of Tomorrow? You want to go kiss their ass? You want to be a weak black male like them? Like him? Okay. All right, let's see. This is the right one. Now, if you don't believe the Democrat Party is a clusterfuck, listen to this insider who raised money for the Democrat Party, Lindy Li. If you don't have to believe me. Listen to the insiders for yourself.
Didn't have much faith in Kamala Harris before she ascended to the top. It was for sure Obama's third term. I don't think that's even a question. But also, he didn't have much faith in Kamala Harris before.
Oops. Well, to be fair, BGS is the one that said that Barack Obama didn't have much faith in Kamala Harris. But oh no, Kamala Harris has everything she needs to wipe the floor with Trump. Nobody's going to vote for Trump. Who's your 47th president again? Oh, right.
Before she ascended to the top role, he was vetting people like Mark Kelly and Andy Bashir.
So who is running it? Who are the names? A lot of people say it was Obama's third term. There's rumors of, and these are friends of mine that are moderate Democrats say that they thought it was Elizabeth Warren running it. They thought it was Bernie Sanders running it. But I think the general consensus, I think if you asked, the majority of the population, I think it was Obama's third term.
It was for sure Obama's third term. I don't think that's even a question. I don't think anyone, it definitely was. And that's why you saw Obama fighting for his dear life. Why was he fighting so hard in the fall? Because he was fighting for his fourth term. He was fighting for his own legacy.
Oh, but And I'm sure they'll get a hold of it and say I'm a low, quote unquote, low information voter. But this is coming from somebody on the inside. This is an insider telling you how telling you what it is. But I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just a low information voter. Okay, bro.
Relationship between Obama and Biden is most reminiscent of that between LBJ and JFK. JFK had little respect for Lyndon B. Johnson, but
Yes, he did. That's a well-known fact.
He picked him anyway because he wanted to win the South. He wanted to win Texas. But he had very little respect for LBJ's intellect. JFK was surrounded by his Harvard brain trust, and he had immense disdain for LBJ's Texas Hill Country vibe. And that was the same attitude that Obama had towards Biden. Obama thought that Biden would eventually fuck everything up.
Oh yes. She said, you heard it. She said what Obama said. Don't underestimate Joe Biden's ability to fuck everything up. Oh, but we're low information voters and we don't know what the fuck we're talking about, right? We just talk about black women on top of this. Hate the Democrat Party because of black women. Yeah. I just hate the Democrat Party because of black women. So, okay, I hate the Democrat Party because black women, blah, 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 the gynocracy, blah, blah, blah. Well, let's hear from a black woman herself again.
No. There's something else, though. With respect to Amy Klobuchar, I actually don't think Democrats give a shit about black people and care about those kind of pressure campaigns because black people specifically are always going to vote for Democrats. So the way that a black woman asking for something from the Democratic Party means less than the dog crap on the bottom of my sneaker cannot be emphasized enough. Like black women, there's no planet. If I were running for president, truly the last, apart from like having my own values, the way that the last call that I would answer would have to be a black women's call, as long as they insist on voting hook, line, and sinker for Democrats no matter what. That's just the way leverage works.
Yes, that is the way leverage works. Peace, Adric. I wish your first comment was true. It's not. She's a feminist, but I'm going to use it right now. But anyway, let's continue with this video.
And that's eventually actually what happened. So, but also he didn't have much faith in Kamala Harris. Before she ascended to the top role, he was vetting people like Mark Kelly and Andy Bashir. Most party chieftains didn't have Kamala Harris as their number one choice.
Duh. We try to tell y'all knuckleheads that. But oh no, I hear it all the time. She qualified. My ass cheeks.
But in the party of DEI, you can't skip a black woman. The optics would have been terrible.
DEI.
So who?
It sucks. DEI.
Who's running it? Who are the names?
Steve Ricchetti, his senior advisor, Anita Dunn, Mike Donnellan, Ron Klain, Jeff Zients, Bob Bauer, his personal lawyer, who's actually his personal lawyer, who actually released a book.
In all fairness, though, Adric, Brianna Joy Gray is fine, though.
Basically grifting off his relationship with the Bidens. I'm going to get in so much trouble for saying all this. Please give me credit but these are the people who ran our country for the last 4 years.
So let's go through each name for all of the audience. Not everybody is as tuned in with who's who in the political world.
As a general overview, these are the people who made a living off of their connection with Biden. It's like they were leeching off the Biden name for decades, and all of them realized that they would never work for another president, so they had to ride the gravy train all the way through, ride it to the very end. And that's why all of them refused. You
know, I had to change this title because, quite frankly, she's pointed out that BGS was right too. Just saying.
To concede the truth, which is that Biden is unfit, and he would have been comatose by the time he was 86.
Who's the first name you mentioned?
Steve Ricchetti, the same guy who put his own kid at the Treasury.
Who is he? What's his position?
His most senior White House senior advisor. Like all of them are White House counselor or White House senior advisor. And they are the gatekeepers of the president.
Who's the next name?
Mike Donnellan, the same guy who's feeding, I'm just going to say it like it is, feeding Biden fake numbers, telling him that he would win. He would beat Trump. Seriously, are you kidding me? And the truth of the matter is, by the time Biden was going to drop out,
Oh, in other words, she basically AB Media was right. AB Media 83 was right. And Butthurt Blue, like Butthurt Brain Trust and Man of Tomorrow were wrong. Oh well.
Was on track to lose electoral college by 400 votes. Trump was on track to get 400 electoral college votes. Not a typo. I'm not misspeaking. 400 electoral votes by the time he dropped out. And Mike Donnellan, his pollster, whom he, they go back decades. By the way, the major qualification for all these folks is that they know Biden really well. These aren't like PhDs or like rocket scientists or anything like that. It's just because of loyalty. And they stayed with him for a number of years. So Mike Donnellan, Nancy Pelosi actually called him out. And she said, show me the numbers, Mike. Like, show me where you're getting these numbers that show that Biden can still beat Trump. And Donnellan wasn't able to deliver. No such numbers exist.
Who's the next name?
Who did I say? Anita Dunn.
So basically, she's confirming they were lying the whole time about Biden being ahead of Trump and Kamala being ahead of Trump. They were never ahead of Trump. They were lying to the American people for at least 5 or 6 months.
Dunn. I actually have a soft spot for Anita Dunn because she got iced out of the Biden
I
circle
don't.
in July, August of this past year because she dared to say maybe it's a good idea for the president to shy away from his convicted felon of a son because the optics aren't great.
Why do you have a soft spot for somebody who's running the country in the shadows to the ground?
Because she dared to speak up. She's the only one who did. She's the only one who dared to utter criticism.
But we went 4 years.
I know, but she's the only one who did anything a little bit different, you know? And she got exiled. She got kicked out of the White House.
When?
So this goes to the point that they kicked all the experts out of the White House. BGS and other people have told you this. But no, we're just low information voters, right? We don't know what the fuck we're talking about. Now, are you going to call, here's my question, Butthurt Brain Trust, you going to call her low information? When she's clearly an insider who gave money and raised money for the Democrat Party? Millions of dollars for the Democrat Party? Is she low information too?
July. So she got booted out. And then not only her husband got booted out. Her husband, Bob Bauer, was Biden's personal attorney. So after Anita, so I should also mention that after the debate, Hunter basically commandeered the White House. He sat in on all the White House top-level meetings. You had a former...
So, the irony. The irony. So let me get this straight. Joseph Biden, who wrote the 1994 crime bill that got a lot of brothers locked up because of crack, had his crackhead son running the White House near the end. The irony. The irony. But you know, I'm a low information voter, right?
Cocaine addict sitting in on the most sensitive meetings of the most consequential and important government in world history. Does that sit right with you?
No.
Without security clearance, mind you. No security clearance. That's who was basically running the show. So Hunter basically battened down the hatches after the debate to make sure that his father would only receive...
Yeah, she's basically a Chinese 92. It is what it is.
...intel that he pre-approved. And so Anita Dunn got exiled around this time, along with her husband. Her husband was playing Trump in the debate prep. Von Klain was disgraced after the debate blew up. And then Jeff Zients, the person who's worth like hundreds of millions of dollars, the chief of staff. I should mention that the weekend that Biden made the decision to drop out, he only told 2 people in that circle, and that's that's Steve Ricchetti and Mike. He didn't tell Anita because I was on a call with Anita that morning and she had no idea it was going to happen. It completely caught her off guard. So by that time, they were already easing her out of the circle.
Is there any, did we cover all the names?
Did we? Jill Biden?
Jill Biden.
She was.
Yep. You did a good job, Joe. By the way, I got 20 some odd people watching this stream. Y'all like, share, subscribe, hit my Cash App, support the show. Hit the super chat, support the show. Special tax is in effect. Are you not entertained? Hit my super chat. Support the show. Hit the Cash App. Support the show.
Was like president. She was president. I was with Joe and Jill the night of the debate. I was at their VIP debate watch party. I slept all the way to Atlanta, Georgia for that to show my support.
Yeah, this is a real insider butthurt blue. Butthurt brain trust. I know y'all watching. You gonna tell this real insider that what she's saying is low information?
Oh my gosh, Sean, you wouldn't believe it. So that night I have the pictures too. I was with Joe. And so Jill takes Joe by the hand. The names are so similar. I'm sorry. Jill takes Joe by the hand on stage and she's like, Joe, you knew all the facts. You answered all the questions. And you know that hand gesture that she does. And I'm thinking, you're treating him like a first grader. You know, like just because he, you know, like you shouldn't applaud him for doing the basics. And you could just tell that she was fighting for dear life to hold on to the vestige of power. And just a few days later, she was on the cover of Vogue. So the whole thing was a Jill Biden show.
Mm-hmm.
She was not as authentic as Joe, I want to say. I think as Joe got older, maybe you think I'm naive in saying this, but I'm not even sure if he remembers all of the corruption that he engaged in.
It doesn't surprise me.
Like, I don't think he had a full understanding of what was going on.
I don't think anybody would argue that.
No matter where you're watching Sean Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment.
Yeah. And shout out to Sean Ryan for this clip. Got another one of his, but let's go to Bad Faith. This is Brianna Joy Gray's podcast.
Values.
Yes, that Brianna Joy Gray.
Everybody, I know you're feeling it. You know, he says it's like Dr. Sirota. He's feeling like we're all feeling this thing where like we've been telling you.
Yeah.
Yep.
We told you this was going to happen. You know, we are, and I know that can be alienating, and I know.
Yep, I told Democrats, what was it, 8 years ago, back in 2016, y'all keep going down this path, you're gonna lose a generation. Turns out I was wrong. They lost several generations.
And it's like, and we're supposed to be better than that, but just sometimes it just makes your head want to fucking explode. It's like, how many times your friends on the left have to tell you how things are going to go before you're going to go, maybe we should jump on that bandwagon before they're right.
Well,
Friends on the left. They don't have friends on the left. They have too hard, too real. What is it? Sorry.
It's too hard to real.
Too raw, too real.
Too raw, too real.
Yeah, it's too raw, too real. Like a porn star.
And I know what it was.
Like a porn star.
Actually, you're right. Too raw, too real. Like a porn star too. You're right.
Too real, yeah. But I was just like, and people had kept, you know, for especially the last 6 months, you know, people would continue to talk about the West Wing thing. So I just posted something. What is it? You know, I was like, hey, here's 271 hours off. I fucking told you so. Because you listen to the show and, you know, it's not like, I mean, here's what's crazy to me. My favorite one that people were like, whoa, you got that one right. When Jeffrey Epstein got arrested, Dave and I talked about like whether or not he'd even be alive by the time this episode dropped. And people were like, how did you see that coming?
But this is so important. How did you see that coming? Because, and T, I was texting you a little bit about this a couple days ago, because I was listening to your latest episode of Champagne Sharks, and you had a guest who was talking about, you know, various researchers and writers who have done deep dives into various conservative, right-wing, however you want to frame it, communities, and tried to, in good faith, provide the sort of narrative story that is driving their politics. And whereas liberals have their own sort of version of what's going on with the right, oftentimes it is more about, and interrupt me and correct me if I'm mischaracterizing this, but more about shoring up our own view or liberals' own view of what's driving conservatives to quote unquote vote against their interests, instead of like kind of telling it in a way that sincerely engages with it and understands why it's appealing.
Yeah, and kind of captures how they see themselves.
Right. And I was struck by that episode in part because it reminded me of the gap between liberals and the left with respect to our own sort of internal narrative and ideological coherence when we tell our own stories, and how it was foregrounded for me when I watched Hassan Piker on Pod Save America a month or so ago, whenever that was, and how every word that came out of Hassan Piker's mouth was tied into our understanding of the world. Money negatively influencing politics, elected politicians not being willing to run on demonstrably popular issues, you know, like all of it tying into this like cohesive narrative. Every fact that drops down locks back in. Gaza, America first, wanting to spend domestically instead of overseas, all of these things. And John Lovitz in response was just kind of lobbing random reactionary bombs, but what about these culture issues? And what about this? And what about that? And nothing, if you go back and listen to that episode, none of the things that John Lovitz brought up like really relate to each other and tie together to a story. It's more like Republicans are wrong. Inflation isn't our fault. And Republicans.
Yep. I've tried to tell Democrats this for years, but nobody listened. Nobody listened.
Republicans are wrong. Immigrants aren't really bad, which I agree with. But they don't have a narrative story.
Yeah, they can't tie them all together.
Yeah, and also I think it's just like not true. Like it's just gaslighting. Like I first saw it kind of when I watched the first Hillary Trump debate, and people kept saying Hillary won, but most of those people were people who were pro Hillary who couldn't see it from the view of somebody who wasn't a metropolitan progressive. They couldn't see it from outside themselves. So
pretty much
when I was watching, I was like, okay, Trump has a
pretty
story
much
here. Like Trump has a story that Hillary, her husband, Obama, they just signed a bunch of NAFTA stuff and sent a bunch of jobs overseas, and they basically gutted American manufacturing. People don't have jobs anymore. These things are going to overseas.
Now, I've said this for years. I've said this ever since Trump won the first time. One of the main reasons Hillary Clinton lost the upper Midwest is because the white folk in them rural areas remember what NAFTA did to those towns. Nobody believed me. If you listen to Butthurt Blue, they would say it's low, quote unquote, low information. But here this lefty said what I've been trying to tell them for years. Here's this brother saying what I've been saying for years. The white folk didn't vote for Hillary because they remember NAFTA, and I don't blame them. Been saying that for years. Nobody listened. Like the stream says, lefties admit AV Media 83 was right.
These sweatshops and the fat cats are reaping the profits from the lowered margins, while the hardworking Americans, can't eat and make America great and all this stuff. And yeah, he's blustering around like a buffoon, but there's a coherent story that he's telling. And then Hillary was just like, oh, Donald. Like, he's just gonna do that over and over again. He goes, you can go to my website and check the policy. And it's like, people don't want to hear, you can go do homework. Like you gotta have a counter story here. And I kept thinking like,
yeah, the line is usually, do your research. Well, I did. I definitely did my own research this election cycle. I watched almost all of Kamala Harris's interviews, and all I got was word salad. That's all I got was word salad. All I got was, hold on, let me find it. If I still have it. Oh, I made it later, but all I got was word salad. And they just came out with a 60-minute interview, and all that is even more word salad.
I don't think he really won that debate as much as you think. If I'm somebody who actually sees the world the way he just described it, as in like, I used to have a lot of work, I don't have work. And I hear somebody list all these problems, and even whether he's right or wrong, whether he's scapegoating the right people or not, or whatever, he's at least seeing my problem or my deep story.
Saying.
Yeah. But the other person just gaslighting and saying, no, like, are you gonna trust me or your lying eyes,
There's no, I'm really gonna date myself, but does anybody remember Monty Python here, or is that just
of course?
Nope.
There's a great old Python. I don't remember what the skit was, but just in the middle of the skit, somebody says, the name of some obscure town, Islington on the Marsh, and the skit just stops cold. They cut to a row home, and a woman comes running out of the street and goes, "We've been mentioned on the telly," and then they go back to the skit. You're like, people just want to be recognized. I mean, the notion that, like, yeah, of course, there are people who listen to Trump and they believe him. There's people who listen to anybody who believe them.
Yeah.
But the fact that he was just acknowledging, even in the most cynical, depraved way possible, that he was aware of their pain, and he was aware of their circumstance, and that he shared their disdain for the people.
Yes, to this gentleman's point, I've never denied. Let me come up here for a minute. I've never denied Donald Trump was a prick. I've never denied that Donald Trump was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. The Democrat Party sucks so bad that they lost to a prick with a silver spoon in his mouth because, quite frankly, he proved to everybody he cares more about the country than they do. And they lost to him twice, 2 out of 3 times. Let that sink in. Oh, by the way, the second time they lost to him, he was a convicted felon, and we still voted for him. What does that say about your party, Butthurt Blue? What does that say about your party? Y'all suck. You're weak. You're pathetic. And you know it. That's why you're hiding in your little corner.
I'm trying to figure out what leverage we actually have. What leverage do we have? They control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. It's their government. What leverage do we have? What leverage do we have? What leverage do we have?
That's your so-called minority leader, Butthurt Blue. Now you're gonna sit there and cry in the corner like Hakeem Jeffries. What leverage do we have? Oh my gosh, I can't do anything. I'm such a weak loser. By the way, shout out to Brianna Joy Gray. The title of her stream is "Loser Democrats Double Down on Their Failures," with Josh Ocean and Trevor. I'm going to butcher that last name, but the link's in the chat. The link's in the description if you want to go watch this whole video. Oh yeah, what did the go around saying? Oh man, they got me. What did that old fool go around saying? Oh man, the economy great. I don't know what these brothers are talking about. I don't know what these retarded brothers are talking about. The economy's great. So is that why Kamala Harris lost in a landslide? And yes, by y'all's definition, Kamala Harris lost in a landslide. Trump actually got more delegates than Biden got when Biden beat him, and y'all consider that a landslide. So Trump beat Kamala Harris in a landslide, whether you like it or not. Let's continue. Mm-hmm. Yes. By the way, I got 25 watching. Like, share, subscribe, hit my Cash App. Support the show. Hit the super chat. Support the show. Yep, Kamala had no policy for people with, none whatsoever. Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh, shoot.
Democrats to say anything about the choice for Joe Biden to stay in as long as he did and to run. And so even those folks that are willing to sort of stick their necks out and say, yes, obviously mistakes were made. Obviously the party needs to be reformed. We just had this DNC chair race. We have a new guy. Let's see what happens with a new guy. I was reading in
my bad, I thought it was playing. My bad.
The New York Times piece, we have no coherent message. Democrats struggle to oppose Trump. Ken Martin said of the reflection on what went wrong and how to reform it. He said he planned to conduct a post-election review largely focused on tactics and messaging. Mr. Martin said he had not determined the parameters of the review other than that he was not interested in discussing whether former President Joseph R. Biden Jr. should have sought re-election.
Yep.
seems like a pretty big hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in some ways, that's the whole kit and caboodle. Because what's going to happen next time around if you have someone whose internal polling shows is going to lose by 400 electoral votes, and who 2 years before election day polls were showing 80% of Democratic voters didn't want him to be the nominee.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, there is a thing too. I think this is some of it. It certainly is with. How do you differentiate? Like Democratic voters, certainly sort of like well-to-do base voters. If you ever read up or meet and talk to any confidence men, women as well, they will tell you that the easiest people to con are well-educated, well-to-do folks, because they are so invested in their own, intellectual superiority that they would rather double down and give you even more of their life savings than admit you hoodwinked them. And I think there's a lot of that going on, and it's so bizarre because there's a lot of things to go back to the West Wing thing that we called that happened that we were lucky or we were.
What did Chuck Schumer say? For every blue collar worker will lose, will pick up one gullible suburbanite, 3 or 4 gullible suburbanites. Well, that didn't happen this time around. So, congratulations, you played yourself. Let us continue.
Or clever, Dave. I will admit, I was on the fence as to whether or not Hillary was going to win in 2016. As it got closer, I became fairly sure she wouldn't, but I just wasn't sure. Dave was positive for months.
Really?
But for me,
He was positive she wouldn't win.
Yeah. And I just had this whole thing towards the end. Was like, what am I going to do? I'm going to tell my friends that they're going to well, let them have these last few weeks, But we talked about this show a bunch of times. But Joe Biden, the entire party, Obama stepping in, the party coalescing around Biden, everybody dropping out. First and foremost, you're sitting there going, this is a really bad idea, because even if it works, you're stuck with Biden.
Yeah, they made everybody drop out that wanted to drop out, who wanted to run, drop out of the Democrat primary to sell a dementia patient to the country. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. They asked all the Democrat candidates, some who probably were qualified to run, drop out to run a dementia patient to the country. Then when people found out he was a dementia patient and couldn't run, they forced an incompetent AKA down everybody's throat named Kamala Harris. But they want us to take the Democrat Party seriously. Butthurt Blue wants us to go kiss the Democrat Party's ass the way they do. Go fuck yourselves. Let's continue. Uh-oh.
And then he goes off, and not only does he pick as his vice president, that they're going to well, let him have these last few weeks, But we talked about this show a bunch of times, but Joe Biden.
Hold on, wait a minute. Let's refresh this.
Tell my friends that they're going to well, let him have these last few weeks, But we talked about this show a bunch of times, but Joe Biden, the entire party, Obama stepping in, the party coalescing around Biden, everybody dropping out. First and foremost, you're sitting there going, this is a really bad idea, because even if it works, you're stuck with Biden.
Yep.
And then he goes off, and not only does he pick as his vice president a candidate who was so bad she had to drop out before the first primary, and I haven't heard anybody say this. And
yes, nobody wants to talk about that. By the way, nobody wants to talk about that. Kamala Harris was so bad in the 2020 election, she dropped out before the first primary. That's how bad she was polling. But yet and somehow, she was going to beat Donald Trump. Crazy, isn't it? Kamala Harris convinced herself that she deserved the presidential nomination. I don't even know if she convinced herself because, like I said, I watched them interviews. She was just following orders, if you ask me.
Maybe it's I shouldn't because it's a third rail, so I'm hoping you'll protect me, Bree. But it seems to me that he hobbled her by going out and announcing up front that he was only going to be looking at black women.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that he did that.
All I'm gonna
He
say is, like,
did.
if I'm him,
Uh-oh,
and I'm
wait
doing
for
that,
it, wait
I'm gonna go
for
out
it.
there and I'm gonna go. I don't care what anybody says. I'm gonna pick the best candidate ever. Oh, look,
Yes.
it happens to be like great. And now let all these people complain about DEI and all that shit. I'm like, yeah, fuck you. I went with the best candidate. He stated up front.
He did.
One thing that was interesting was, I mean, he wasn't required to state this up front, but I guess he must have felt
No,
pressure.
he kind of was, because remember, so much of this. I don't mean to be the Bernie broad who can't let it go. So much of this. Sorry, this is my literal.
Oh, if you don't know what she's talking about, Brianna Joy Gray was the campaign manager for Bernie Sanders in 2020. So, yes, this is by definition an insider.
Job at the time. Everything that happened in 2020 was about Bernie. Like, even the stuff that wasn't directly about him. And so
Yes.
there was this whole media campaign to get everyone on the record on stuff that was supposed to make Bernie look bad, including, by the way, that questionnaire about transition surgery for prisoners that really got Kamala Harris dinged at the end of this last race. Like, however you feel about the issue, that is not something that anybody would have gone on record on if they weren't trying to make Bernie Sanders, who historically has been not that interested in those cultural issues, stayed away from them, unwilling as he was at the time to say he was going to pick a black or female VP. He said, I'm going to pick the best VP, and maybe it's likely that they will be from one of those identity categories. But they tore him up over it.
Yep.
Bernie won't answer the question straight. And then here comes Biden, and now look.
Yeah. But you're sitting there watching all that happen, and you're like, you guys are going to lose in 24. You're just setting yourselves up to crash and burn. And that's the degree.
Well, that's what they did. They crashed and burned.
And by the way, also, and this makes me crazy, we knew Biden was falling apart in 2020. I mean, it was just,
Yeah, I thought he had dementia back then. But oh no, be quiet, be quiet. You don't know what you're talking about. Okay.
He did.
Crystal clear.
Oh, but yeah, they were denying it the whole time.
Yeah.
It was like,
it was so nuts. I got exhausted, but I found that there's this great clip of Biden in 2016 that I must have posted 1,000 times in 2020, where it's him talking about, I'm sure you've seen this, where it's him talking about why Bernie's doing so well against Hillary.
You know, if Bernie Sanders never said he was a democratic socialist, based on what he's saying, people wouldn't be calling him a democratic socialist. That's how he characterizes himself in sort of European terms, the democratic socialist parties in Europe. But
why is she having trouble?
Yes, the old man's actually coherent in this interview.
Well, I think that Bernie is speaking to a yearning that is deep and real, and he has credibility on it. And that is the absolute enormous concentration of wealth in a small group of people with the middle class now being able to be shown being left out. There used to be a basic bargain. If you contributed to the profitability of an enterprise, you got to share in the profit. That's been broken. Productivity's up.
Yep.
Wages are
But Hillary's
stagnant.
talking about that as
Well, it's
Since the 1980s, since we got on neoliberalism.
It's relatively new for Hillary to talk about that. Hillary's focus has been other things up to now, and that's been Bernie's. No one questions Bernie's authenticity on those issues.
And they question hers, you think?
Well, I think they question everybody's who
Yeah,
hasn't been
that's true,
talking
too.
about it all along. But I think she's come forward with some really, really thoughtful approaches to deal with the issue. But I just think, and look, you know, everybody, you know, it's the old thing. Everybody wants to be the favorite. No one wants to be the prohibitive favorite. And so it's an awful high bar for her to be the favorite. So I think it's
lucid, straightforward political commentary you'll ever hear from a mainstream Democrat. He's just like, yeah, here's the problem. She's perceived this way and he's doing this, and it's not her. It's like nobody's interested in establishment politics. And I would post it primarily because no stutter.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just completely there. And it would be like, tell me this sounds like this guy. It was just the added attraction of the fact that he's also explaining why your last idiot lost.
something I remembered. The something I remembered about Biden's situation, why I think he probably felt pressure to say something, even though I agree with Josh, he should have just debuted her, was like to reintroduce the context. He had just finished doing that stupid interview with Charlemagne where he said, you know, if you don't vote for me and not blackjack or whatever it is, he
You ain't black.
Yeah. And everybody was going at him, and it was all day, all night. And then a bunch of black liberal women seized on the opportunity.
If you have a problem voting for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
To emotionally blackmail him for representation. I don't know if you guys remember this. They did a Washington Post op-ed, group op-ed. I think it was like Amanda Seals, what's her name? Brittany Packyetti, Sunny Holston, and like one or two other people. I think Alicia Garza was one of them from Black Lives Matter founder. And they had this video and op-ed and this big PR campaign.
Oh, I
It's
see.
like,
In the Washington Post, May 14th, 2020.
yeah, and they
Biden
came,
still needs black women. Here are the 3 things he needs to do.
yeah, and they came out and did this big campaign about this is your chance to make it right, Biden. What you said and everything you've done. Mind you, none of these women were rocking with Biden before. They were all with Elizabeth Warren and Kamala Harris and other people. But once those people dropped out, they're like, okay, we have to find our way to get our hooks into Biden. Somehow we've been on the wrong horse. Because at the time, they were all people who clearly wanted to become DNC surrogates and get DNC insider positions. So they were all kind of scrambling to get the hooks into Biden somehow. So they're like, Biden, you got to get a black woman. And I remember after that op-ed came out and the video came out, that's when the critical mass happened. At the time, he was actually courting Amy Klobuchar and flying her down. That's when everyone thought Amy Klobuchar was going to win. And win the vice presidential nomination, not the nomination, of course. And I remember all of a sudden she stopped being flown down. You stopped hearing about her. And I think they even said explicitly, like, when we heard you're thinking about Amy Klobuchar, that'll be insult.
To answer your question, how could he fuck this up? It's called money.
To black women. So the combination of the Charlemagne faux pas and then the op-ed and the virality of it, and
By the way, I got 25 watching. Like, share, subscribe. Hit my Cash App. Support the show is pinned at the top. Hit the super chat. Support the show. Support your interests.
Amy Klobuchar was already kind of had negative connotations as this kind of demonic Karen, to her staff and everything. And I think all that kind of pressured him to just say, "Hey, guess what, guys? I'm gonna get a black woman. Just be quiet now." I think that might have maybe made him announce.
We should also just know that I think that it contributed. There was definitely a firestorm around this issue, and that op-ed didn't hurt or didn't help.
Well, by the way, I still agree with the Bernie thing. I'm not saying that's a contradiction to your Bernie point.
There's something else though. With respect to Amy Klobuchar, I actually don't think Democrats give a shit about black people and care about this kind of pressure.
Oops.
Campaigns, because Amy Klobuchar, I actually don't think Democrats give a shit about black people and care. There's something else though. With respect to Amy Klobuchar, I actually don't think Democrats give a shit about black people.
It's a contradiction to your Bernie point.
There's something else though. With respect to Amy Klobuchar, I actually don't think Democrats give a shit about black people. And there's something else though. With respect to Amy Klobuchar, I actually don't think Democrats give a shit about black people and care about those kind of pressure campaigns. Because
did you hear a stutter? Democrats don't give a shit about black people. Yep. Joe blatantly disrespectful to all blacks, and dude had to Google yeah, I know.
Because black people specifically are always going to vote for Democrats. So the way that a black woman asking for something from the Democratic Party means less than the dog crap on the bottom of my sneaker cannot be emphasized enough. Like black women, like there's no planet. If I were running for president, truly the last, apart from like having my own values, the way that the last call that I would answer would have to be a black woman's call, as long as they insist on voting hook, line, and sinker for Democrats, no matter what. If that's just the way leverage works, and I wish they wouldn't do that.
I definitely
black
agree.
women, I wish you wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. But
to.
I do think the Charlemagne thing gave them a little bit more leverage than usual.
Yeah, let's listen. Let's listen to that again.
No. There's something else though. With respect to Amy Klobuchar, I actually don't think Democrats give a shit about black people and care about those kind of pressure campaigns, because black people specifically are always going to vote for Democrats. So the way that a black woman asking for something from the Democratic Party means less than the dog crap on the bottom of my sneaker cannot be emphasized enough. Like black women, like there's no planet. If I were running for president, truly the last, apart from like having my own values, the way that the last call that I would answer would have to be a black woman's call, as long as they insist on voting hook, line, and sinker for Democrats, no matter what. If that's just the way leverage works. And
black women, if you're listening, you heard it from Brianna Joy Gray. They don't give a shit about you, but y'all voted for him in the 93%. Shout out to Adric for the $2 Cash App. AB Media 83 bringing the heat. Yes, I am. And let me give you your reward for that. Cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. You better Thank you, donors. But yeah, you heard it from Brianna herself. Democrat Party doesn't give a shit about black people, and if she was running, she wouldn't take black women seriously as long as they're kissing the Democrat Party's ass. You hear that, butt hurt blue? That's not me saying that. That's Brianna Joy Gray saying that. I know y'all listening. Anyway, let's continue.
Because he was
But
looking
I
for
will say
anything to get him out of that.
And actually, we might come back to that. Here's some more from Lindy Li.
Despite her repeated denials, Beyonce was paid.
Who was she paid by?
Cardi B was paid. Okay. Cardi B, who famously said she wasn't paid, her production company was paid to show up. Katy Perry was paid. Christina Aguilera was paid. Oprah wasn't paid $1 million. She was paid $2 million. Okay. Let's be very clear.
$2 million.
$2 million to Harpo Productions.
All my life I had to fight. I loves Harpo, but I kill him dead before I let him beat me.
Tell me about Beyonce.
Despite her repeated denials, Beyonce was paid.
Who was she paid by?
The Harris campaign. She was paid tens of thousands of dollars to not sing. Well, no, she refused to sing. She was paid tens of thousands of dollars to give a speech that no one wanted to hear. And Kamala Harris thought all of these people came out to Texas to hear her speak. Yeah, right. They came to hear Beyonce sing. And you know what? This is the second time they failed to deliver Beyonce. The first time was at the DNC. They promised that.
Yes, they did. I thought Beyonce was going to perform at the DNC, and she never did. Oops.
Beyonce would perform. Beyonce did not perform. So that was letdown number one. Letdown number two, they went to Texas to prop up this candidate who could never beat Ted Cruz, Colin Allred. And they promised, they told NBC News that Beyonce would perform. Beyonce came out and gave this speech, this boring ass speech, and just left without performing. And then Kamala Harris got booed. She got drowned in boos.
In fairness to Beyonce, she did show them nice legs, though.
Because people
just saying
didn't really care what she had to say. They were there to hear Queen Bee. So that was number one. Beyonce was paid to show up. Cardi B was paid. Okay. Cardi B, who famously said she wasn't paid, her production company was paid to show up. Katy Perry was.
Cardi B was paid to show up to say that dumb shit off her phone. Okay.
Was paid. Christina Aguilera was paid. These people were all paid. And Oprah wasn't paid $1 million. She was paid $2 million. Okay, let's be very clear.
$2 million.
$2 million to Harpo Productions.
All my life I had to fight. I loves Harpo, but I kill him dead before I let him beat me. I'm sorry, I gotta be petty.
Who owns Harpo Productions? Flip Harpo backwards. It spells out Oprah. It's Oprah's production company. It was paid $2 million to put on that town hall in which Meryl Streep calls her Madam President. It was a love fest for Kamala Harris. So Oprah was paid $2 million. And who else? Al Sharpton was paid $500,000 moments before he interviewed her. Okay. An MSNBC anchor, Al Sharpton, was paid money. A so-called journalist was paid money moments before he interviewed the vice president. People.
Yep. By the way, before I forget, this episode of Colosseum Special is brought to you by the new faces of Jim Crow. They don't need blackface anymore. Massa has us now. Like, share, subscribe, hit the Cash App, support the show, hit the Super Chat and support the show. Support your interests.
People like Roland Martin who are attacking me now.
Ooh. Yep. Yeah, that's right. She mentioned Roly Poly.
Was paid $350,000 to interview Kamala. Advertising costs. Okay, advertising costs.
Yeah, advertising costs my ass.
To interview Kamala Harris. The Pennsylvania Democratic Party was paid $25 million after the chair raised hell for not being paid enough street money. Street money is just a boondoggle. It's a cauldron of corruption. They just hand out money to ward leaders. And so this is how donor money was spent. Donor money was basically set on fire for 5-star hotels, luxury trips, private, charter planes, just this ridiculous stuff. And a lot of these donors are hardworking Americans. I had people giving anywhere from $10 to $15 all the way to $1 million. All of them worked hard for their money. And if they
Yes, she raised serious money for the Democrat Party. Now, my question to Butthurt Blue, since half of their content over the past few months have just been nothing but my videos, are you going to call her low information? Is she going to be low information exhibit whatever the letter is? Just ask it.
knew that their money was spent this way, they never would have given.
There's a lot of corruption coming out right now about USAID. Did they fund any of this campaign?
I don't think they funded any of the Harris campaign, but the Democrats are so pissed off and freaking out about USAID because Trump got it. He hit it on the nail. That's where the corruption is. And we need to look into what happened with that missing Ukraine money.
Oh, yeah. For those of you who didn't hear, Vladimir Zelensky came out and says he don't know where $100 billion of our money is. Oh, but Joe Biden's economy is doing so great. Biden did a wonderful job as president of the United States, right? According to Butthurt Blue. He did such a wonderful job on foreign policy, right? According to Butthurt Blue. He did such a wonderful job on foreign policy, which is why he was trying to force African countries to fly the rainbow flag over the American embassy. But Joe Biden did such a great job as president. What did Joe Biden say? You did such a good job, Joe.
There's billions that were supposed to go over there, and Zelensky said he never got it. What the hell happened to that money? Why are we funding transgender operas around the world? Why? Why are we funding DEI programs, not only here at home, but across the globe?
Good question.
Someone's got the answer for it. And you can tell that we hit the target by how angry they are.
Yep.
Yeah. Man, I don't think what's it going to take for the Democrat Party to turn things around?
They have someone who wants to abolish the Second Amendment and ICE and who wants to defund the police running the party now. So I don't think they're going to be out of the woods for the next 10 years. I think it's.
Yeah, it can be up to 10 years. I can see that now. It could be up to 10 years before they get their shit together. But this is your modern Democrat Party, folks.
Insist on voting hook, line, and sinker for Democrats no matter what. If that's just the way leverage works, and I wish they wouldn't do that.
I definitely agree.
I wish you wouldn't do that.
Which, by the way, shout out to the writer. I love that guy. He made me an Oscar-winning screenwriter. So, as opposed to just nominated. So he's friend for life. But he, there's a line. Will Menaker said, really simple.
I've pretty much made my point. The left has spoken, and they said that, me, AB Media 83 was right. The Democrats suck. They're losers. And that's why they lost. Now, I'm sure they'll probably cry about this stream. I don't give a shit. But you heard it from the insiders. You don't have to take my word for it. Listen to the insiders. They're telling you. They're telling you. But what do I know? I'm just a low information voter, right? I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, right? I'm just low brow, low information, right? Okay, you can keep telling yourself that lie. It is what it is. Well, I've been on for an hour. Doesn't look like nobody want to come up. So here's what we're going to do. I am about to shut down. I'd like to thank everybody that came through. This is AB Media 83, and I'm out. Peace. Yo, this is AB Media 83. Want to support the channel? Hit the Cash App. Also, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the video. Also, be sure to hit that bell notification so you can be notified next time I upload a live stream or video. And always remember, keep it grinding, keep it pushing, keep it moving. This is AB Media 83, and I'm out. Peace.